I think that comics have just a really unique take to them, where you can feel this grandiose, like big blockbuster style storytelling, or intimate small storytelling, but it's feels so close to the creators in a way that you just don't get with other setups. You watch a movie, you're so actor focused often enough, that you're not kind of paying attention to like what the story was trying to say necessarily. You're just like, oh, new Brad Pitt movie, that's awesome. But like, there's a bunch of people that worked on that thing. But when you're talking a comic book, it's like often two people, really, maybe three, with you got your colorist or inker, and their vision directly into your hands. That's really cool. My name is Jake MAzinger. I own and operate 2 comic book stores with my little brother, and try to bring a lot of fun to the community. I was just always very much into the X-Men, Spider-Man TV shows when I was a kid, and I love collecting action figures. That was a huge part of my life when I was a little, and eventually your imagination wears off, so comic books kind of became the way for me to keep most of these stories rolling. When I was 18, I popped in to pick up some Marvel Zombies comics because I'd heard that had come out, and the owner asked if I wanted a job, so tables kind of flipped finally, and I got the job here. And 4 years after that, I ended up taking over and buying out his inventory. This is my 20th year as part of Memory Lane Comics.
That's cool.
It's one of the coolest things about what's happened with our shop is like, or comics as in general, is like I'm noticing way more female customers. It's become way more of a safe space, where it used to be kind of like a boys club, and now that's totally gone away. And it's like our customer base is so diverse. There's a point where like if you asked who the average customer was, it was like basically a guy my age, and white dude, and that was who I typically saw come in the store way back when. And now it's not remotely like that. I mean, it's just everybody under the sun, all ages, everybody's talking to each other, having fun. And so we have a very diverse group of customers. We'll say they walk in and they just feel comfortable in our place. So that's a huge part of our business model, is to be just extremely welcoming. We want people to feel like they walked into our living room when they walk into our store, not like they walked into like Target. And we're not selling them on anything unless they want us to pitch them an idea. We're just trying to make a comfortable space for people to walk in and see, with good racking, see all this stuff that we're trying to say is representing them.
What do you think? What do you think led to this new wave? Like, what do you think welcomed this whole new group of people?
I think the content changed to a good deal. Like if you look at some of the classic comics, just certain things were just unrealistic. They were made for a certain audience, and part of having a diverse customer base is that we have diverse creator base now, and so you're seeing way more people represented in comics. I mean, it's nice to see someone that looks like you on the pages of a comic, and that's now a reality. I mean, anyone can read a Marvel or DC character that looks and acts and feels kind of like them, and feel a little more comfortable. And once you get the door open on that kind of stuff, it opens wide open. Like you can go all these different cool indie comics, all these different other characters that you might want to check out. So I think it's a big part of it is a more diverse creator group opening the door for a more diverse customer base. I've seen a lot of ebbs and flows in this industry over this 20-year period, but I see more young people getting into comics than I used to see. But largely in part of Dogman sells an unbelievable amount of books. There's a bunch of different Scholastic books that sell like that. It means kids are getting into comics, and they're getting into it with a different frame, because they're not coming in for single issues like serialized storytelling. They're in it for the larger books, and eventually those kids will be the ones that are creating stuff. And so it'll be really wild to see the shift in creativity and size and format as we get these kids who grew up reading these things moving into the next stage, whether they'll want to do serialized single issue stories, or are they going to be just putting out these little hardcover books but for adults. And so you'll start to see a whole new wave of I think humor that comes along with that, and creativity. So I think the future's really bright because a lot of kids are reading like crazy right now. One of the biggest things I think is misconstrued is just that people think that it's just superheroes, and it's so totally not that. There's a comic book for everybody in our store over there, and I mean that 100% always. People, even if you think the MCU is what comic books are like, it's not remotely what that's like. I think one of the cool things about comics is the accessibility to the creators of the comic books and the ability to see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 people that made this thing, and you can see their full intention, and some of it goes through a filter of Disney or whatever, but for the most part the comic book sections of these companies are left alone. But even when you're talking indie comics, I mean, sometimes it's just one person's vision, that their labor of love, and you get to literally just see exactly what they wanted to put on the page, and that's such a cool thing. Most often they're saving their best ideas for their indie projects. So a lot of times what's really cool is people walk in the door because they're into Spider-Man, Batman, Thor, whatever, and they read some really good runs of those things, and they're like, man, I've read a lot of Thor, but this one was like, it hit me incredibly. Like, this was so perfect. And I'm like, well, yeah, that writer is Al Ewing. Check out this other stuff that Al does. And so all of a sudden they're going down this rabbit hole of like these other books that from Image and from Dark Horse and wherever, and rolling through this entire catalog of this creator stuff. And then so they walk in the door for Spider-Man, but they walk out for Invincible, or that Texas Blood, and they're all of a sudden they're into Chris Condon's like cool pulp noir Western. They walk in the door because they're thinking superhero, and eventually they're walking out as a Daniel Warren Johnson fan, and they're like talking about Do a Powerbomb being one of their favorite books, and that's really fun. Yeah. You'll see people who are never into reading who all of a sudden they find something that just clicks with them, and then they can go down this rabbit hole of interest in these different stories that they never would have thought they'd find at a comic book store. If they like The Godfather, there's comics that are along those lines, and sometimes they've got demons in them, and sometimes they just got gangsters. And I think it's cool seeing like the different takes on all this stuff and introducing that to